Today's video is about the Single Ply Area Condition General tab used to modify your Single Ply field system. To do that, I'll click this Properties or Edit button over here. Here we see the description of whatever we want. Here's the calculation method, picture frame or overlap. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Roof height, this is an information only field, so you don't have to fill it in. It doesn't do anything. It's just for information. Vertical height, you might also think of that as excess around the outside, vertical width or something like that. What this does is if I were to put 12 inches in there and I measured a 100 by 100 foot roof, it will add approximately 400 square feet around the perimeter of my building. We call these the C fields, and these are user definable fields, usually not used, but on the area condition, we use the first three of these for warranty information. What's the warranty term, who the manufacturer is, and what the minimum squares is. This works in conjunction with the warranty button here on our add-ons tab to either give you a lump sum quote for the warranty if it's under the minimum squares, or a per square price if it's over the minimum squares. But what I'd really like to focus on right now is the single ply field portion of this. Here I can see my width and length of my membrane. I can add an end lap and a side lap here. I can select a different type of membrane here. And here I can put a fastener centers in. Now having that fastener centers in doesn't do anything unless I've activated the roll fastener. So right now this is being set up to use those fasteners. If I turn that off and I make sure I've got bonding adhesive turned on in my miscellaneous button or tab, then I would be dealing with an adhered system. So for now I'm going to leave no end lap and side lap. I have measured a 100 by 100 foot roof, and I want to show you what the edge does with that. To do that, I'll click OK, and I'll come into the Items button. This is kind of like going behind the curtain and seeing what's going on. You don't want to mess around in the Items button other than to check things to see if the edge is doing what you expected. When I click this button, it takes me into the items for this particular condition and this condition only. Now at the moment you see all these pink and gray lines. You see the pinks are labels, the grays are items that are available but not in use unless they've been turned off. Then you'll notice they actually have italicized so that even if there's a quantity in there, they won't activate. The black lines are material, the blue lines are labor. I'm going to switch this into another view so that I only see what I'm using and the labels. To do that, I come up here and I click on items only. Now I just see that I've got 100 squares of roof membrane for this. I'm not focusing on the right-hand side here. I'm just focusing on my estimated quantity for these things. Watch what happens when I open up the condition properties and I add an end seam and a side seam of 6 inches. I hit OK, and now I've got 105 squares. The edge is not laying this out, but basically it's subtracting an end seam and a side seam from one side and one end of the roll, and then coming up with the new quantity of material I need as a result of that. So that's how that works. All right, now let's talk a little bit about perimeter. If I click this on, I now have a perimeter sheet coming in, which will subtract from my field sheet and add to my perimeter. According to my calculation method that I use here, I'll either get a little bit more or a little bit less. And let's look at those calculation methods. This is picture frame, where we're not overlapping except for the end seam all the way around. This is overlapped, where we're actually doubling up on the corner and it's overlapping. So if this were a 100 by 100 foot roof with a 5 foot perimeter, I'm effectively getting 95 lineal feet here, 95 lineal feet here, and all the way around. Whereas this overlap side, I'm getting 100. Let's see what this does in my quantities. Right now we're set for picture frame. I hit OK, and you see here's my perimeter sheets. Here are my field sheets. Now when I change it, the field isn't going to change, but the perimeter will add a little bit more. When I come in here and I click overlap instead, it doesn't change my field, but my perimeter adds a little higher because it's overlapping the corners. So that's how that works. Now, if I had a second perimeter sheet, all I have to do is come in here and put a 2 and hit OK. And the edge is adding that in also. All right, I don't have to use that other perimeter tab unless I'm either using a different size perimeter sheet, or maybe it was mechanically fastened and I wanted to fasten one perimeter at 6 inches and another one at 12 or something like that. For now, I'll just turn that off. And by the way, I'm going to set that back to picture frame, which is the way I normally like it. That will change according to what part of the country and what kind of manufacturer system you're using. Surfaces down here is where we can add something like a liner or some sort of cap sheet or slip sheet. Most of the time I prefer doing that in the miscellaneous tab, which we won't talk about in this lesson. If I needed ballast on the roof, I could do that right here. We won't talk about that either right now. So that pretty much wraps it up for the single ply area condition general tab. The rest of these tabs you should be able to find in other lessons. Thank you. Have a great day.